Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel for another video. So in today's video I'm going to be going through everything we know so far about the Storybook Vale DLC. Now it is coming so soon and I wanted to go through all the information we know, all of the images we have, video, everything to do with the DLC in case you are not completely up to date with what it's going to contain and what kind of premise it's got and things you may be able to get from it like furniture or foliage or anything like that. I wanted to kind of go through it in depth and give you a good rundown of everything we can expect to see. Plus there are some images that got put up on Steam, I think it was, that show a little bit more detail of some of the outfits and stuff like that what we're getting. So I wanted to go through everything we know so far and kind of give you a rundown. So let's get started. So to start off, the Storybook Vale DLC is going to be based on a kind of land that used to be above Dreamlight Valley, and when the Forgetting happened, the two kind of villains that ruled this area, Maleficent and Hades, stole the Vale away, and even though they were getting along really well and kind of ruling together well beforehand, they ended up completely splitting apart and kind of being at odds with each other, which has kind of turned Storybook Vale into this kind of area now that everything is kind of falling apart. So our job as the player is to obviously come in, meet the characters, and try and restore Storybook Vale to its kind of former glory and its former self, similar to how we did with Eternity Isle if you did do the Rift in Time DLC. Similar concept, you're kind of going against this villain or these villains that are kind of having a negative impact on the place, and obviously helping the protagonists that we find there to restore it and kind of explore along the way. So in Storybook Vale we have three main biomes, same as we did in the previous DLC, which is the Bind, which is where we start off first, which is a kind of dark academia inspired kind of storybook biome really. There's a lot of books around, honestly, trees, very autumny trees, they're gorgeous, and also like this big kind of castle structure that is the main kind of building in this biome. The next biome we have is Ever After, which is obviously very much a kind of mythical, magical inspired biome. They said they took a lot of inspiration from films like Alice in Wonderland, which you'll see later on with one of the landmarks that's in there is very evident. But this one has got a purple and blue colour scheme and has obviously got a lot of giant mushrooms around fauna, and it just looks absolutely whimsical and incredible. And the third one is Mythopia, which, as you can tell by the name, is inspired by kind of Hercules itself, but also Greek myths and things like that, and has a really nice yellow kind of color scale, a lot of floral flowers around, obviously a lot of pillars and structures that fit that kind of Greek theme, as well as these gorgeous windmills that are going across the hills. So in this DLC there are going to be two acts, which is different to the previous one. We had three last time, but they decided to change it to two this time so that it kind of is concluded a lot quicker. They kind of noticed that players were getting a little bit lost along the way with it going on for so long. So we have got the first act obviously coming soon on November 20th when the game launches, and then Act 2 will be in summer of 2025. Now, in a brief synopsis of what the storyline will be about, in Act 1, we are going to go on a mythical adventure to help the Lawkeeper restore a faraway land while encountering Merida, Flynn, and Hades along the way. Now, if you know what the Lawkeeper is, it is this magical book that actually is going to talk to us. And is going to obviously guide us along this adventure, explain what's going on, and obviously we are going to help the Lawkeeper restore it to its former glory, because the Lawkeeper is essentially who is meant to rule over this land and who is meant to keep things restored here. So we are going to be helping with that, and obviously we are going to meet these three characters along the way to kind of help us in that journey. Then after that, in Act 2, which will be in summer of 2025, we are going to be using the help of Maleficent, who we're finally going to be kind of meeting up with. They said we will see her in Act 1, but she won't obviously be a huge part of what's going on. So we will have to wait for Act 2 for her, and we're going to venture into a strange world beneath the Storybook Vale and solve the mystery of a missing princess, which we saw a little graphic which seems like it is going to be Aurora from Sleeping Beauty, which obviously makes sense with the Maleficent tie. So we are very likely going to be getting Aurora in Act 2 as well, but we do not know yet. We do not know what she looks like, anything like that, but we are obviously going to be working with Maleficent to kind of finish off the mystery of the land and restore it to its former glory. So in the biome, the first thing I'm going to be talking about is the main kind of tasks, I'd guess, and also the tool we'll be getting. So we've seen that the areas in these biomes are going to have ink pouring out of the ground. Now these are just the Storybook Vale versions of Nightthorns in our main valley, or if you did have a Rift in Time DLC, we had the Splinters of Fate. They are essentially the same thing as that. They block the way, you have to clear them to be able to get through to different places. They obviously sometimes drop memories, coins, things like that. They are essentially just going to be a resource that you pull up. Now, when it comes to Star Pass, hopefully these will also count towards Nightthorn tasks, which means completing those will be really, really easy because you're going to have 3 different areas to be able to pull from, but they obviously went for an ink theme to go with the whole storybook style. As well as that, another main thing we're going to be doing is using our new royal net, and the reason why we have a royal net is because we are going to be capturing snippets. Now, snippets are essentially creatures that have manifested from pages coming out of the Lawkeeper's book. These have scattered over time as the turmoil's been happening, and these have kind of turned into these little origami creatures, like paper animals, and our job is to go around and capture these. Now, they did say that when we capture these snippets, they will help us do the new puzzle mini game, which is obviously, as you've seen, going to create these tapestries, and as you collect them, kind of similar to how we collect memories in the main valley, these will obviously piece together and you'll be able to unlock them. Now, I don't know if the snippets are going to drop anything else. They haven't really said. The only thing we know is that it's going to create the tapestries, but we don't know yet if capturing them is going to drop resources or memories or any other things, or whether it's just going to be the tapestries, so we will have to see. Now, when it comes to the characters we'll be unlocking, we obviously know we are going to be getting Merida in the Bind, so the first biome we go into, so I would assume we probably meet her first. And then obviously in Mythopia we get Hades, because obviously it's this Greek theme, and then in Ever After we get Flynn Rider. Now, obviously, we've already seen the character models for all the characters that are coming in the first part, so we know what they look like. I personally really like how they look. I think they look really kind of accurate to what they look like in the movie, but obviously with their own DDV twist on it. We'll have to obviously see how they actually look in game, because it is going to be slightly different to how they look in promotional videos and promotional posters. So we'll have to see what they look like, but I'm excited to meet them. As well as that, we've also kind of seen some indications of potential quests we might be doing with the characters. Now, for example, in some of the stills that were on Steam, we saw an interaction between the player and also the Lawkeeper, and the Lawkeeper book talking to them and kind of going through some of the like dialogue that they'll have together. And we've also seen a shot of your character player talking to Hades, one of them hanging out with Flynn and Merida, and also one of them with Flynn where they're in this like suit of armor with a like structure in front of them. So these are kind of indications of what kind of quests we'll be getting with them and some of the things that we may be doing with them. Talking of characters, something to note as well is if you do have the Rift in Time DLC and you have Rapunzel unlocked, then you will have an opportunity to reunite Flynn and Rapunzel. This will probably happen once you've unlocked Flynn fully and you've got him like in your valley as a character to interact with more. You'll then probably get a quest or something pop up, I'd assume, where they would reunite kind of thing. I don't know how in depth this will be. It might just be like a simple little interaction, but I'm very excited to see that. So if you are someone who has got a Rift in Time, that is something to note. As well as that, they all have their own unique house. We've obviously already seen Flynn, Merida, and Hades very clearly, like in detail. We've kind of seen what the houses look like. I think they all look amazing. I'm particularly fond of Merida's. I think it's gorgeous. And in terms of Maleficent, I personally think that in one of the clips, you can see this like beanstalk kind of looking plant going up to this like castle in the sky, and I think this is going to be Maleficent's home. Now, this does worry me a little bit because it makes it seem like her house maybe is stuck in Storybook Vale. You can't actually move it to your base game valley, similar to how we got with Jafar. Jafar lives in his castle that is stuck in Eternity Isle. You cannot move it to your base game valley. So I have a feeling hers might be the same. I hope I'm wrong, but it does kind of look like this is probably her home, but we'll have to see. It may not be. It may just be a building that she's currently residing in, and then later on we'll actually get a house for her. All of these houses can either be kept in Storybook Vale, they can be brought to your base game valley, or they can go into the Rift in Time DLC. So wherever you want to locate them, they can be moved in between them all, same as the houses we have currently, so that you have kind of the freedom to put them wherever you want. Now going back to snippets, which is something I forgot to touch on, obviously you find snippets around the Vale. They come in different forms. Some of them are little birds, some of them are frogs, some of them are other creatures. So I would assume maybe you kind of get different types of creatures in different biomes in Storybook Vale. Like one has frogs, one has birds, one has the other creature, I would assume. I may be wrong. But they also did say we are going to be getting some rarer ones will appear in your base game. So if you are looking for certain ones, they may appear in your base game valley as well, flying around. I'd assume these probably give you rarer pieces and rarer kind of little snippets to collect. So I don't know if there may be going to be like a collection in the collections tab, kind of how critters are. We'll have to see, but I would assume they probably are. But these are obviously going to give us the pieces of the puzzle tapestry. Now, something else quest related that I did want to touch on is the trials. Now, they didn't really go into too much depth about trials. They kind of gave us a look of this like underground castle area, and said that these trials will be inspired by fairy tale and myth quests, which will need to do using a variety of royal tools. These will kind of be like puzzles, but they didn't really give us a good indication of what they are, what you have to do, what you're going to get as a reward for doing them. So they've kind of kept that under wraps, so we'll have to see what that ends up being, which I quite like the fact that that is a bit of a surprise. Now moving on to the kind of universal buildings within Disney Dreamlight Valley. Obviously in Eternity Isle we had Scrooges and Remy's come up in the first biome we went into, Ancient's Landing, and we are getting the same this time. However, they have been given a new look, so they fit better into this biome, which is something that I know a lot of us complained about in the previous DLC, is Scrooge and Remy's looked so out of place. So I'm glad to see that they've listened to that and tweaked that and changed it. My only thing with it is obviously if you did want to move them out of the bind and move them to any of the other biomes, it's not really going to fit as well, but I do really like the effort of doing that. And as well as that, we are going to be getting new items in Scrooges that are exclusive to DLC owners, so if you are someone that's getting it, you will be getting a new stock of stuff in Scrooges. We don't know how much or what is coming, but there will be some stuff coming. Now let's move on to the kind of decoration of the biomes and also the things we are going to be getting for them in terms of like foliage. So first off, obviously in each biome there is kind of like a landmark. Some of them are obviously direct Disney references and some of them are just more like key buildings or key focus points. So obviously in the bind when we first go in, there is not an actual direct landmark, but obviously the big like castle structure building is obviously very eye-catching, very gorgeous. I think it looks so regal but also so academic at the same time. I think it'll be really, really nice to have. Obviously in Ever After we have got the Alice in Wonderland inspired waterfall. This is honestly one of my favourite things they've ever put in the game as a fan of Alice in Wonderland, but just in general I think this is going to be such a gorgeous thing to have to build around. I can't wait to make like an Alice inspired area around this waterfall, and when we do get her eventually she will definitely be living here. Now in Mythopia we have two core landmarks. We have Mount Olympus, which is absolutely incredible. I think it looks so accurate and just so well done and so detailed. I feel like they've put so much effort into making it look really detailed, really in depth and accurate to Mount Olympus in the movie. And as well as that we have a Hades statue, which seems to be like over this big bridge, which I'm guessing we'll probably have to go on for some sort of quest. But this is obviously such a grand structure. Now all these landmarks are going to be incredible to use in dream snaps, especially ones that obviously fit the theme. Like if we get like a Greek inspired dream snap, having Mount Olympus in the background is going to be absolutely incredible. So I cannot wait to be using these different themes in different dream snaps and have them be this gorgeous backdrop. Now in terms of foliage and flora and fauna, we have got a lot that we can see in the pictures and videos of what we're going to be getting. So obviously in the bind we can see they've gone for this autumnal theme, they've gone for orange and red trees, lots of these red bushes which are just a recolour of the base game ones, and also some of these like really small red plants which look like a recolour of the ones from the Rift in Time DLC. We got them in like a bright green colour and a purple colour. I use those all the time. Like I think every biome in my valley has those included somewhere. So to get a red version it looks amazing. I hope they are the same hitbox and they're quite small, because that's something I love about the Eternity Isle plants, is that they are tiny and can like fit in these small spaces. We've also got some tall green trees as well, like this dark green. We've got lots of logs, and we've also got these really cool like book stacks in water. Now I don't know if maybe these are just going to be for the biome and you're not going to be able to actually use them, but I feel like these would be so cool if they become like an addition to our water decorations, because imagine having a biome and you have like books in the water would look absolutely incredible. Moving on to Mythopia, we can see we've obviously got a lot of yellow trees. We've got some flower bushes. They're like bushes with flowers actually poking out the top. We've also got some of the pink floral bushes as well. And obviously we've got a lot of these really traditional trees, the tall, thin colours. We've got some small green ones. There's a lot going on in Mythopia in terms of foliage. It's a very bright biome. As well as that, we've also got these windmills, which look absolutely incredible. Now, I hope we do get the ability to have these in like craftables or in Scrooges, or we can just have these to use. I think they look amazing, and being able to use these in more places would be so incredible. Finally, in Town of Ever After, we have got probably the most exciting foliage, I would say, because it is something so unique and so different that we don't have in the game at all. And obviously in here we've got a lot of mushrooms, big and small. We've got some big purples, blues, lots of different colours. We've also got the bioluminescent moss. We've got some of these blue and purple trees. We've got blue bushes. We've got these swirly plants, these glowing mushrooms. There is so much going on in here that is going to look incredible back in the base game. Especially I feel like Forgotten Lands would look incredible decorated with this. I feel like doing a whimsical kind of like spooky forest up there would look like insanely cool. This is the most unique stuff I feel like out of everything. I feel like this is a big game changer for those of us who love decorating in the game, and I just love mushrooms, so I'm very excited to get my hands on those. As well as that, we're obviously going to be getting new craftables and also new resources in all the biomes. We don't really know yet what kind of like gems and things we're getting, and we don't really know about any like main craftables. We know we're getting some new fish in each biome. We're also getting some new flowers, new growable fruits and vegetables, as well as trees with fruits and vegetables on, and also obviously new meals that can be crafted out of those. So same as the other DLC and the base game, we're going to be getting a whole range of that stuff from each biome, which is really exciting to be able to use new stuff. I'm very excited about the new flowers in particular. I think having new flowers is always so lovely to be able to bring them back to the base game and kind of use them to decorate really like more unique than the original flowers. As well as that, in each biome we are obviously getting new companions. Now, I am so incredibly excited for these. Obviously in the bind we are getting owls, which is something I did predict a while ago. I felt like it just made complete sense to have owls in like a storybook theme. So we're getting owls in there. Obviously we don't know yet the colour palette of each different one we're getting, but I'd assume we're going to get the classic like brown owl, white owl, black owl. Like, we're gonna get the classics, I feel like, and maybe some more quirky colors would be really cool. Obviously then in Ever After we are getting mini dragons, which cannot describe how excited I am for those. I feel like that is going to be my permanent companion, and hopefully they have a purple one, because if you know me, I'll have that with me all the time. And then obviously in Mythopia, again really exciting, we have winged horses, obviously based off of Pegasus. Hopefully these come in a nice range of colours, but they look so cute. Obviously they're going to have a specific food or something that they're going to want to be fed in order to unlock them, so we will have to discover that as we discover the DLC and figure out what their main interest is. Now, the final thing I wanted to touch on is furniture and clothing. Now, we haven't really been given like a direct look at furniture and clothing we're going to be getting, but within the showcase and within the other like photos and videos we've kind of found, I've kind of picked out some of the core ones that I really noticed and recognized were new, so I can give you a good idea of some of the stuff we'll be getting. I definitely saw a lot of stuff from the bind. I feel like that was the one I saw the most furniture and stuff in, whereas the other biomes there wasn't too much to really see, so I feel like we're gonna have to wait and see what we can get from those biomes until the DLC comes, because they're not as evident in those videos. So in terms of the bind, we can see there are a lot of new items, so I'm just going to list through some of the ones I've seen. Obviously I'll put an image on screen so you can see what I'm referring to. So we've obviously got some new candles as well as some new lamps that are going along the pathways and things like that. The new candles kind of look like a larger scale of the melted candles we have already, so I'll be interested to see if there's something we can actually get, because they're really cool because they're much bigger. The obviously path lamps are this lovely like bronze color. We definitely don't have these yet. These are amazing. We've also got this fish catcher, which I didn't recognize. It really reminded me of the one that's obviously attached to Moana's boat, which I think it is the same as the one attached to Moana's boat, but obviously it's just on its own. But as the shot is obviously with the character with Merida doing some fishing, I'm going to assume this is probably for a quest, and it's probably going to be a quest item with her, which I think would be quite cool to have. It's another like item that's technically already in the game but we can't utilize in that way, so I think that was a cool one if that is the case. We've also got obviously a lot of things to do with books. So we've got the trees that have got the bookshelves and the books like embedded in them. These are amazing. I hope that we have access to be able to use these, whether they're craftable or just in the tree menu. I think they'll be really cool. We've also got book logs where it's like a log with the books like stacked into the end. I think they're amazing. We've also got book piles everywhere. They seem to be recolors of the original books that we already have, the Sword in the Stone ones. They just look recolored, so it'd be interesting to see if we get those. Obviously we've got the bookshelves going down the whole biome, which are unique ones. We haven't had these before, and as well something else they did showcase a lot in the clips is the books with like the flowers growing out of the top, and I also saw one that was like a tree growing out the top of it. These are amazing. I feel like these are probably going to be craftables, but I just found these so cool because they're so unique, and I really love how they look. Finally, a couple last few things. I saw a fountain in the middle. Now this might not be something that we can access, it might just be built into the biome, and it might not be something we can actually have ourselves, but I think that would be really interesting to be able to get our hands on because I really love how it looks. There's also new seating. We saw a new armchair and couch, which are this like really lovely orange colour with a kind of like dark wood detail. Really love those. I think they showcase them quite a few times, so I think they're probably going to be something we can get our hands on. So as that on the table, we've got a couple of items that look new. We've got like this little pine cone just sat on the table, and also like a jar of something. Those were quite intriguing to me because we don't really have those yet, so we'll see what they are. And then finally, something that I've been asking for a very long time, and I really do hope it is something we can actually get our hands on and it's not just there for aesthetic, and that is leaf piles. Obviously, as this biome is like very autumnal and has a lot of like orange and red leaves, the floor is kind of covered in leaves. A lot of the like actual grass is decorated with leaves, but there's also these big leaf piles, so I really hope they are something that we can buy and use back in our main valley, because these are just, I've been asking for them for so long. I really hope that we get our hands on them. Now, I didn't have anything for Ever After because there's not really been any like decorations or furniture showcased from that biome. It seems to be a lot more of a natural biome, so anything that probably we are going to get furniture wise from there is going to be crafted stuff that we will craft using the kind of resources from that biome, but they didn't really showcase anything yet. And then for Mythopia, they only showed a couple of things, which was these like broken down pillars. These are something that I think would be really cool, especially as a craftable. I think using them in this biome would be really nice to go with the other stuff we have. Obviously, we have a few Hercules items, but they were from the premium shop, so I think it'd be nice to have more of these pillars that we can utilize in different places. And as well as that, there is also an archway, which is actually the same as the premium shop archway, but it's thinner. Like, it's a thin arch rather than a bigger structure. The one from the premium shop's quite big, whereas this one is obviously like a smaller condensed version, so I'll be interested to see if we get those as well. Now, the final thing we've kind of seen, these are more in the promotional pictures that were put on Steam early, rather than the actual showcase, and this is some clothing that we'll be getting. Now, obviously, we know there's going to be clothing coming in the Magical Edition, and also for those people who buy the game before November 30th, you will get other clothing as well. That is just something that's going to come with the purchase of the DLC, but the stuff we saw in the images was actually different. Now, each of these outfits seem to be tied to the different biomes within these pictures. So for example, we have got a purple armor that we can see the character wearing when they are with Flynn, and they are obviously in this underground section doing whatever quest this is to solve something. And we also see the purple armor as well on these like armor stands earlier on in the showcase. That kind of gave us an idea of what they look like. They look slightly different, which again you've stumbled upon in this underground place. So I would assume it's probably going to be something along the lines of you're going in there for a quest, you find the armor, you put one on, and then you continue the quest onwards. Similarly to that, we've obviously got this Greek-inspired outfit when you are talking to Hades in Mythopia, so I'd assume this is probably something you're going to get whilst questing with him. You need to wear this to do whatever quest you're doing. And then obviously again we have got this Flynn inspired outfit, I would assume, in Ever After, where you can be seen hanging out with Merida and Flynn, and wearing this kind of like, it does seem quite Tangled inspired to me, so I feel like this is again probably going to come with Flynn's character. The final thing that I didn't actually recognise, I didn't notice it at first, but then I looked and was like, I don't think we have that, which is this really cute cream dress. You can see this picture of the character talking to the Lawkeeper book, and they're wearing this. Everything else is stuff we already have, but this particular dress I didn't recognise, so obviously this is probably going to be something that is going to be linked to the main biome, the bind, and maybe with Merida, and kind of give you an idea of what that'll be. Obviously this stuff might be coming with friendship rewards, it might be coming in Scrooges, it might be coming from the character quest. We don't know. I would assume they're probably from questing, but obviously we'll have to see what they're going to be from. Now that is mainly everything I had to cover. The only thing I wanted to pop in at the end, because it was something that I looked at and was a little bit interested by and intrigued by, is in one of these stills we can see there is a forgotten portal underneath this little gazebo archway thing that is in Ever After. It's by the Alice waterfall. There's this gorgeous like little mini gazebo thing, and underneath that in this picture you can see it's like the Forgotten's portal, like when we have if you've completed the main like base game storyline, you obviously should have this portal in your plaza next to your well where you can go through to the Forgotten Castle, which is where obviously we went to complete the storyline of the base game. Now this looks exactly like that. So I was really intrigued by that and curious how that's going to link in. I wonder if it's maybe something to do with Maleficent. We're going to go through this to get to the underground part where Maleficent is residing. But I was really intrigued by that because it was something I didn't expect to see, and I'm curious as to whether it's going to link back to the Forgotten or if it's going to be utilised in a different way, maybe more towards Maleficent instead. So that is everything I wanted to cover. Let me know down below what you think. Was there anything else you noticed in either the showcase or stills or anything like that? But let me know down below what you think. Are you excited for the DLC and will you be picking it up? I personally will be, and I will be streaming it here on my channel on November 20th. So if you do want to come and hang out and explore the DLC together, I will be there, and I hope to see some of you there. Have a lovely week and see you in the next one. Bye!